Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and for today's video on Umamusume, we're going to be talking about the skill book hints, which you've probably seen were included on the last update, alongside everything else that we got, and may be confused on how these are going to be utilized on your account and how you should use them, as they are also a fairly rare resource and quite expensive to use. So you should use them very sparingly, and I personally would not even use them at this point until we kind of see what's going to happen with future events. And so we'll just go ahead and get into that right now. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, one of the things that has been added now to the friendship shop, if you've been looked in there lately, is these new book of hints. And there's really not too many that will be for sale. Now, I've already bought them all out, but if I go in here and I go, I believe they're in here in the upgrade items here. So there's 4 of this green, 2 of this green, 2 of the gold, and 1 of this gold one here. And how you upgrade your hints, and what they're actively going to do is, on your Umas, these books are basically so you can add hint levels to the skills that are built into their kit, which includes the whites and gold. So the white ones are going to use these green books, and your golds are going to use these gold books. Now, they did not give us like near enough resources to really max these out, because you can take them all the way up to level 3 hints, as if you can see here. But you're going to need a ton of these green books. And then on the gold ones, you're going to need, and also you're going to need a lot of gold. This is going to be our future gold sink. Once you kind of start finishing up putting potential on your Umas, your support cards, and you're starting to get to a point where you're starting to see a lot of gold, more gold coming in than you're spending, this is going to be your next gold sink. As you can see, 80k for these. But the big one's going to be eventually when you're starting to push up your golds at 800k. Plus, you're going to need 120 of these things. So they are not going to be cheap in the long run when it comes to them. Now you might be wondering, well, we barely got enough to do this anyway from the shop. How else are we going to get them? Now this is something that we actually got much earlier than they had them in Japan. And we'll go ahead and take a look at them here on the website. Now, I believe there's other sources of them, but one of the big ones is going to be through the main events. And just to kind of see how we don't really know how we're going to start acquiring them at this point is because if you look at the events, so the next one we're going to be having is the Halloween event here. Makeup and Halloween. So just notice there's no Halloween items in the rewards here. It's just your typical event ones that we've had. With the big ticket item on the Halloween, for example, is going to be the Mihono Bourbon Wit card. You got some carrots, as well as now that we're going to start getting those fragments for the limit break crystals. But that's pretty much it. Now, if you actually take a look at future events, so we'll just take a look at the current one or one of them that came out on the Japanese side here. They have similar, but now these books are included in. As you can see, at the 32,000 point range, you're going to get 4 of that, 1 of the greens. And then at 52, 3 of this green, which is the secondary one. And then 6 of it there. And so they can start adding up 4. And then eventually when you start getting to the higher points, you start seeing the gold. So there's 2 for gold. And of course, they still have cards. They're still giving out the free cards. You have 8 of a green, 2 of another gold, and they're still limit break crystals. Here's a big one, 6 of that gold. After you come out 2 of that, and then you go down here, 6 greens, 6 golds, 3, and that's pretty much it there. So there's still, even in the events, fairly limited. I don't know if they're giving enough maybe to max out 1 skill per event, maybe less than that. So I'm going to guess they come from other sources, just like we have the Friend Point shop and other places. You'll want to make sure you're always buying them out, because long run, if you continue to play this game, you're going to, even with how expensive they are on the gold side, you will eventually still have more gold than you can spend on these, I believe. Unless they just start handing these out like crazy, because as I've shown, it is quite expensive. 800k to max out the gold skill. And so you might be wondering, now, when we start acquiring them, what Umas should you invest them in? And so I think one of the more fairly obvious answers is going to be, of course, the Uma that you want to use the most. So your Oshi, if you have one, is going to be the priority. But there's kind of another trick you want to think about it when it comes to using them as well, even if it includes your Oshi. And that is kind of and this is kind of a long-term progress. This is why I'm not using mine yet. I'm going to be stockpiling them for a little bit, and I advise many people to do that, is because as the meta shifts through the support cards, they will have different skills on them, and those skills give a certain amount of hints. So one such example that I've seen that's kind of an early example, one that's always going to be big, is Professor of Curvature, for example. So right now we have Kita-san Black. We'll eventually have the El Condor Pasa speed card, which kind of replaces her. Still has Professor of Curvature. And then you have like the next big power creep to El Condor Pasa, which is Almond Eye. And of course, she still has Professor of Curvature. They all have fairly high hint levels in them when you max them out, with hers at 3. And so you're always most likely going to be including a speed card that has Professor of Curvature as you play this game. So an Uma that has it built in, which I can't, let me see, with one that has it built in. So let's take a look at skill Professor of Curvature. The ones that have it built in. So we have Symboli Rudolph and Super Creek Halloween, which she's going to be coming up here soon. So if one of these are one of your favorites to use, we'll just use Symboli Rudolph here as an example. You're not going to want to use, most likely, your books on this because you can already get a fairly strong hint from a card that you're going to be most likely using a lot. Now, one that might be valuable on Symboli Rudolph, though, is a Dominator. And I already know that it'll be very useful on this one. If you're loving your you have an Oshi Dominator for your mediums, this cannot be acquired from a card. There's no way to get hints on it. And so the only thing you can get hints on are actually Tether, which is the white version of it. So if one of the Dominator Umas, which there aren't that many of them, is one of your Oshis, you can invest in that. Now I'd say a Dominator is also kind of another one I wouldn't, even though that's the case, simply because it's only good for mediums. So all other, like, you're not getting value out of it outside of the medium races. So I would also want to look for something that doesn't really have a sports that give hints to it and is more versatile. So one of your more versatile Umas as well that can pretty much do anything. And so let me think of one. We have like Fuji. Keep that Fuji here. She's very versatile because she can pretty much do every distance as well as every aptitude as well, if you want to do dirt as well. And because of that, maybe you can look at hers. And so we have what, Big Sisterly? It's only on a single card, a wit card, Ikuno Dictus. And you can kind of just take a look at it. And so this is a wit card, so this is a card that you can realistically use. Now it's a mile skill, so I'm already going to say on there. And this one has Groundwork, and this one comes quite a bit later. This one just came out this year in Japan, so this one's quite a ways off. So Big Sisterly is actually going to be one that's not really readily available. So maybe a Fuji's a big one, but that one's a mile. But you got Race Planner here. Where's Race Planner? It's on Daiwa Scarlet Power. You definitely don't want to use power cards. You really can't count that. But you have a speed one at Majero Arden. You can kind of look at that. When's that one coming out? This one's probably going to come out sometime next year. Now, you have that. You have some pace skills on here, so that one might not be available. So it'll take a little bit of work to really dig through to find what skills you might want to use it on. As I'm kind of showing, it's already hard. And I already know, kind of with Race Planner, that I don't see this one as a meta card. It might be just Pace Chaser specific, but there's a lot of other better ones. So this could be a potential one if like Fuji is your Oshi that you're going to be using a lot. But down the line, when you kind of think about it, because you're not going to get enough books to max it out anytime soon anyway, so you might as well stockpile them, because gold's also still kind of limited for, I think, a lot of people. So that's just kind of thinking about the hint books here and how you kind of approach it. Now, I'll have a link to this in the description as well. I've shown this in many videos, but this is a way you can kind of see which cards are going to be more used, based on the big ones kind of being your meta ones, the medium size being kind of specific. They could be meta, but shorter period of meta, or very strong for specific distance types and all that. And so you can always do your own research on your favorite Umas that you might want to eventually invest these in, and how long that you can actually take advantage of those hint levels you get. Right now, we just simply don't have enough for me personally to want to use them on even the whites. Yeah, it'll make it where you have a little, you can stretch it a little bit longer, but I'm kind of all over the place on my Umas right now. I don't really have a favorite that I know I'm going to be using all the time or anything at this point. And so I'm going to hoard them. I think a lot of other people should, but I do understand if you have a current favorite of wanting to use them now. They will be, hopefully they do add them in to our events here. I mean, they gave them to us early, so I fully expect that they'll put them into the events. Otherwise, we aren't going to be able to level up hints for quite a while because they come in the shop. I mean, they gave us barely nothing in the shop. And they do, now these do go quite high on the points. I know a lot of people just get the max for the cards. Like, actually, I should just go back there. Like on the Halloween, for example. Right now, your goal, because Mihono Bourbon Wit is so good, your goal is going to be able to get the last copy of Mihono Bourbon Wit, which is right here for 400. Like, that's the must-have, in my opinion, because this is a very good free Wit card that has the gold version of Early Lead on it for frontrunners. Now, you may say, actually, you have kind of a new goal, which is going to actually be very high, and I still think this is going to be, I think, a big one for a lot of people to shoot, but if you don't play a lot, it's going to be harder, because this is getting up to those really high amounts of points. But all the way up to 920,000, you do have those shards for the limit break crystals. That'll be a big target for a lot of people. I know a lot of people have been just hitting the card and they're not worrying about it, but now you have targets to shoot for. And I'm going to guess they will just mix them in same way we have it here. So they'll just mix in the books. It looks like the books have mostly replaced like some of these, because we get so many of these from doing a lot of races. But just like the crystals, as you can see here, you have the 920 crystal. Same thing as it was on the Halloween, but then right after it, 3 of that rare book that you want 24 of, I believe. Let me double check here. No, you need 12 of this book. And, I mean, it gives you it there and gives them some other place. So you're really going to want to hit these higher limits to get it. So, I'm expecting them to add it into the Halloween one, but we'll just have to kind of see. But these books are very exciting to have now. Just make sure not to waste them and using them on what you want. But that'll be it for now. And if you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.